And so now I'm very curious to learn for you what you're doing. So, Julia, can you please start introducing yourself so that maybe you can then do that also with Vladimir?
Okay, yes. So my name's Julia Beabout, and I am based in Seattle. I'm with Novaby, one of the co-founders of Novaby, and we are a 3D content creation company but we specialize in augmented reality, and in particular, what we call augmented reality placemaking. So we do world scale sites, but very site specific installations and space activations. So we have a team based on the West Coast primarily, but we're also very international. So our core team is in Seattle and San Francisco, but we work with artists and customers around the world, and super passionate about augmented reality, particularly mobile phone-based augmented reality. We really like the democratic nature of that, or equitable nature of mobile AR. And up till recently, we've been kind of making our own AR clouds for our projects when we were doing world scale outdoor AR. And then fortunately we got connected with Vlad a few months ago, and I'll let him take it away from there, and he's making our lives much easier.
Okay, so Vladimir, instead, can you present yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Vladimir from Augmented.City. So Augmented.City is a Italian startup, and we do air cloud-based visual positioning. So what we do, we provide the possibility to make shared AR experience. So we have a technology that allows for very quick and cheap mapping of big territories, so the whole city. And then there is a possibility to localize by one frame inside this air cloud, and also get the position of all augmented reality objects that are around you. Not sure if it is clear enough or not.
In part, yes, but we will discover everything during this talk. So, Julia, you told that you're working towards open AR cloud. I think that we all know that AR cloud is the future, and we are all worried about also all the privacy and the power that it comes with knowing the mesh of the whole world. So, what is this project? So, how does it develop, since there is not a central unit, it seems, that controls everything, like Facebook that gets all the data from the various apps and it blends them together. In this case, you're talking about an open project. So how does it work?
Yeah, well, from my perspective, I think there's a role for both. I've been in other 3D industries, particularly building design for, embarrassed to say, like 40 years or so, 30, 40 years at this point, been around for a while. And I think what I'm seeing is kind of a pattern emerging, or I see a likely similar pattern emerging as that. So some of the problems that we're facing in AR are very similar to the other 3D industries. And so interoperability, in a sense, universal standards were a big problem in that industry as well. And just crossing across different softwares, in particular in the building controls industry, which is actually very similar to mobile phone types of applications. And there was also a lot of legacy providers of control systems, and that had private networks that they had invested heavily in to develop. And so from the customer's perspective or the user's perspective, there was a real desire to be able to switch these different vendors of these control systems in and out, but there's not a lot of economic incentive for the vendors to do that. And so what kind of grew up in that industry or developed in that industry was this dual track where you have these private systems that people, there's advantages to those, and then you had more open public systems and that also were better suited for certain situations. So I kind of see this as being probably developing in the same way. You have the Niantics of the world, the Googles of the world, the Facebooks of the world, Apple, that are all working on, and to some degree already have their own AR cloud that is very robust. And they've invested heavily in those. But I think we've all become more aware and more attuned to the privacy issues, actually, that enter into the equation when you have those private AR clouds that are actually run by effectively advertising dollars. And so it's when you kind of get that mix of marketing and advertising in there that where the data becomes personal data becomes extremely valuable, that the privacy begins to get compromised. So I see the open air cloud as a fantastic effort. One is just establishing kind of standards for operating for privacy and very high standards for privacy, and an alternative to that. I also see it as a creator, a great alternative for creators, because right now I can't access, I need and use an AR cloud. We've been just creating them ourselves, which is a lot of extra work that really shouldn't be necessary, but I can't access Facebooks and Apples and all of that. So to me, there's kind of two drivers as a creator. One is the increased privacy, but the other is actually access to a cloud that I can create and puts the power of creating that in my hand. So.
Yeah, I share the same concern about privacy, but of course, I think you have maybe the problem of gathering the data, because Niantic has made this great idea of giving to the Pokemon Go players some bonuses if they go scanning a particular area. So they added some gamification to force people to scan the world around them. So where do you think to take this data to put inside the AR cloud? So how to invite people to populate this AR cloud? Because without data, no AR cloud is going to be useful. So how are you working on this?
Vlad, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so basically it's the same approach as Niantic. So a lot depends on how it is, how easy it is to do the mapping. For example, Niantic, and actually they use their technology of 6D AI. They are quite good in mapping small areas, so especially indoors. And definitely the idea of gamification of the process, it is very good. So actually, they got it right, that they need crowdsourcing for this, and second, they want to do this in small steps. But still, let's see how actually technological restrictions will be overcome in their case, because once again, for them it's easy to scan small areas, but how they're going to scan big areas, I actually don't know. So we, for example, use another approach. So our scanning process is probably more difficult from the go. So a person that never did this may fail from the first attempt. But still, we are trying to make our scanning wizards as simple as possible, but give the possibility to scan big spaces in one pass, not just a small area. And when you are already somehow skilled in this, you can do this quite quick. For example, the whole city of Bari, we did by 4 guys in 2 months. So currently we have completely digital twin of Bari in our cloud.
not bad. And Bari is in the southern south of Italy. Some people don't know about it. If I publish this part of the video. Just a question also: what device have they used to do this scanning? Just a smartphone, a tablet, a new iPhone with lidar? So.
Oh no, just any smartphone with camera.
Wow.
That's why I love what they're doing, is that it really puts the power of AR cloud creation in the creator's hands. So some of the other providers that I've looked into, and everybody has their pros and cons, and so different use cases might require a different solution, but typically the AR clouds or tools that are out there require a third party. I basically had to wait for somebody to scan my area before I could use that cloud. And so what Vlad and them, Augmented.City has done is I can now go out with my phone and scan the area that I need and immediately very quickly have an AR cloud. So I don't have to wait for a third party.
Wow. So I think that this is very interesting, but of course to work, it must be, I don't know how to say, I think it should be implemented in some apps to run like run in the background, so to have the most people possible to do that. Or do you have an idea of having some kind of volunteers that try to scan all the cities for you, so that these people, they become supporters of the open cloud, and so they deliberately go somewhere to scan the areas for you? Or are you thinking about embedding this in games or whatever, so the scanning is automatic, of course informing the user, so that without effort you get data from everywhere? So what's the approach?
Well, so right now approach is let's say kind of shared revenue. So if you map some area, then all revenue that is generated by using this part of the AR cloud is shared with you. So if you are the first and manage to map common areas like around attractions, so center of Rome, for example, it's areas that could generate a profit. So this could be
Okay, but so to use this, to calculate this profit, when someone wants to use the AR Cloud, the Open AR Cloud SDK in his or her application, it must register to you and pay for the cloud, I guess.
No, so when you are scanning, when you are mapping, you don't need to
No,
pay.
I mean when you use it. When I develop an application that needs the AR Cloud features, so I have to pay for the cloud expenses so that you can share them with the developer, with the scanner guy.
Yes. So if you want to use AR Cloud and you have a popular application built around it that generates profit, then yes, you need to pay for this. You can pay per localization, or you can pay per user. So there are different models.
Okay, and what are the prices, more or less, if I can ask them?
Prices are different depending on number of users. So for example, if you are a telecom provider and want to have millions of users, then it's one price. So then will be like 3 cents per user. Or if you are just a developer who wants to use AR Cloud SDK, just for application and check whether it becomes popular. Then first you get it for free till some threshold, but then you can pay like 1 cent or 0.1 cent per localization. So until you get really a lot of localizations, like hundreds of thousands, until you get a lot of users, you are not paying any significant amount.
You're paying very, very little. That's interesting.
Tony, I was just going to turn to a point that you were making about how they plan to acquire the data, basically the scans, right? And so I will say, whether, and you mentioned maybe embedding it in games or whatever. I will say, like, to create a scan for their platform, it's a very intentional process. It's not a passive process, such that if you were playing a game and it happens to be capturing your background, that background would work in their system right now. I mean, I guess I don't know what your product pipeline is, Vlad, but I guess maybe it eventually might get there. But right now, it's a very intentional process that does require some, not a lot of knowledge, but some practice. And your motions, your gestures you're making are specifically unique to creating that cloud. So.
And how does it work?
Correct.
So if I want to scan, I don't know, here the plaza in front of me in Turin, how do I do it?
You just download our mapping application and go there where you want to scan and start the application, and the wizard guides you. So where to look at, what to do, how to rotate the camera, how to select the next point, etc., etc. If to compare with something, this is somehow similar to, let's say, Bitcoin mining. So it also requires.
You really want to make that comparison? I don't know.
Yeah, but that's actually it is similar, because this mapping, those maps, they are limited by physical space. And those who mapped first and were able to select the best places may have the biggest income. So, and then there are less and less space available to map.
Yeah. The other thing, again, just looking at their product from the user and creator side, is I think because it's a very intentional scan for an AR cloud purpose, it's a high quality cloud. And again, like, I'm able to generate that cloud when I need it, as opposed to, again, kind of a passive thing embedded in a game where I'm really depending on other people or other users to create what I need. I'm able to go out and do it and get a high quality cloud.
Oh, that's cool. And how many parts of the world have you been able to collect? So how many cities, how many places? I don't know if you have this kind of statistics.
Right now, we have spots in 77 cities around the world, in actually all continents. The biggest coverage currently in Bari, so a little more than 100 square kilometers. In other cities, the spots are much smaller, but still together they probably make another 100 square kilometers.
Cool. So let's hope that more people will adopt your application, so that if everyone makes a little piece of the city around them, maybe merging all together, you can have a broader area. And
Yep. They are merged, by the way, they are merged all together automatically. So you just do some scanning, and then it makes the binding.
And is it also possible, I guess, to update the mesh of a location?
Yep, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, we're kind of running into that with a particular project we're working on in downtown Seattle for the holidays. And what's been interesting is, particularly when you get into these kind of special events, the environment changes very quickly, because it's an event, they're setting up, in this case, holiday decorations and all of that. So, for instance, I'm going to have to go back, and I'd been working on scanning this area anyway. And I'm going to have to go back and make some kind of mini scans to supplement the setup and environment that's there for the next month. So.
Another thing that I'm always wondered about the AR cloud, something that has always worried me a bit, is what about the private places? So what if I try to scan my home, for instance? What happens? I know that it's a voluntary process, but I mean, if something I go to the home of someone else in the office that maybe should be a restricted area. Are you already doing something for that, or do you have? How do you plan to solve these possible privacy issues in the future?
Yeah, so this is a part of OARC. So we have a set of protocols, and there are possibility to restrict scanning and localization of some particular areas. So, for example, if you are a government structure, you can just ban scanning and localization on some areas that can be designed on a map, or in a like you can set a polygon that restricts functioning of the system in this area.
Yeah, so that's really where OARC is coming in and establishing protocols and effectively, I guess, a database, right, of at least people having a quote unquote authority. I don't know if that's really the right word, but a central organization that people can come in and like opt out of the AR cloud. They obviously are not going to be an enforcement agency, but right now I don't know of any other organization that is, has that ability to monitor that and provide that kind of record keeping. Do you know, Vlad? To my knowledge, OARC is the only one.
Yeah. Yes, first is the only one.
So it is an opt-out. The plan is to make it an opt-out system as opposed to an opt-in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if I don't want someone to scan my house, I have to say to opt out from the possibility of scanning this place. And I guess that if someone has already scanned it, opting out, the data will be destroyed, I guess.
Yeah, if something is already scanned, then you can place a restriction on localization on these areas. So even if there is a digital twin, if there is an air cloud for this spot, you will not be able to use it without a special permission.
Okay. Since you stress a lot about privacy, so I guess that the data that is on your servers is completely secure, is not given outside, I mean, to other organizations or for ads or whatever. They're not sold in any way. So do you confirm this?
Well, at least we try to. So we cannot be always 100% sure that we are safe from any kind of hackers attack or stuff like this. But at least our goal is, to be as secure as possible. So we are still in beta mode right now. So not everything is implemented, but it's a long way still.
Yeah, I think there's kind of a couple privacy components, I mean, one is the private personal data that's just comes along with your cell phone, that's a problem for every company, right? And it's important to protect, right? More the Facebook level data, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's maybe the type of privacy that you're talking about there, Tony, or there's a certain level of potential concern about privacy of like, okay, I'm out scanning my city and the level of information that is embedded in that scan about the city, right? For me, I'm like, especially since, I'm focused on outdoors and I think Vlad's product is primarily focused on outdoors. I mean, the reality is that data is already out there. That's what Google Earth is, right? So they can see anything already. So I'm just kind of creating, I mean, I don't want to minimize the concerns around that, but and I think that's what gives people that kind of like ick, creepy factor of like, creating these digital twins. But like I said, the reality is that that information is already out there because of Google Earth and Google Maps and other mapping systems. So.
Yeah, of course. And talking about the Barry project, so Stephen told me about the test that you made in Barry, that something he was amazed about it. So Vladimir, can you say something more about it? So, what was the experiment about? How you conducted it, etc., etc.
Yeah, so Stefan's idea was to make a so-called special cinema in Bari. So why Bari? Because, well, there is already AR cloud, so it was possible to implement this. The idea is to create a AR experience that is not just on your phone, and that is, let's say, that survives switching off your mobile phone. It's not that something you generate on your phone and see, but this is something that exists, that always exists, and everybody can just switch on his mobile phone and see the same thing. So Stephen took his character. Her name is Bubiko. It's a small girl, so actually created by artists from Novaby, and she was set on a kind of zeppelin that is flying through Bari, so visiting some important places, and finally flying inside a small cafe uh, and landing exactly on some table just to take some coffee. So that's uh, first.
First flight.
Yeah, first one, really, yeah,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah, but I think what we found cool was, AR is already a very multi-discipline collaborative process, and when we start doing things like this where she's moving through space, it becomes even more so because there's kind of the way we talked about it was there's external animations that are going on as well as internal animations. And so on Augmented.City side, they were controlling these external animations of actually moving her through space using the geopose. And then we were creating kind of the internal, what we called internal animations, where she's moving, we're making it look like it's flying, but they're actually creating the path. So it kind of even took collaboration to a whole nother level.
You mentioned the geopose. When talking with Stephen Black, he told me that it's amazing, it's better than all the other localization systems. So what is exactly geopose? How does it work?
Geopose, it's a possibility to send one frame to the server, and as a request, get a very precise position and orientation of a camera. So, for example, right now, maybe you know the system called Cesium. It's quite. You may just Google them later. It's an important provider of data 3D meshes for the whole world. And for example, right now we created a demo that allows us to send to take a photo of any location where you are, send this location to our server, and it positions you into Cesium system. So you immediately understand your position and orientation inside a digital twin just by one photo. So that's geopose.
Very, very nice. How much is it accurate?
It's like it depends obviously on conditions, but usually it is within 10 to 30 centimeter precision.
Okay, so it's enough to position objects in the space for
Yep.
the experiences that like the Bubiko one in Bali.
Yeah. It's very precise, so you can actually position, for example, information tables exactly where they're supposed to be. So there should not be much drifting, so not strange, jams like you can see from GPS-based positioning. So It is precise.
Okay. Do you also think that other technologies, like I don't know, the 5G that is coming, is going to be fundamental for the air cloud to work, or the air cloud could already work with 4G like it is today?
Well, 5G definitely helps because currently probably the biggest problem is the latency in getting your position. So currently, when you send the frame, you can wait for several seconds just for the frame to upload and then download information. So with 5G, it could take less than half a second. So that's
Wow, that's cool. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
I will say though that, yeah, I mean, the results I'm seeing now, which effectively, I have a 4G phone and there's 4G out in the spot where we're using it, I think. It's fine. Like, you know what I mean? So I see 5G as creating, as like you said, improving the speed, so improving the experience. And then I think also one of the limitations we run into on our side, on the creation side, is we're always very conscious of file size, right? And a lot of that has to do with just hard limits on certain softwares, depending on what we're working on. But a lot of that is really fundamentally about latency also. So I think it will just kind of expand what is already expand and improve what's already a good experience, in my opinion.
okay. And so seeing also this technological evolution that is going to happen in all the various fields, 5G, AI, ML, VR, AR, whatever. So how do you envision your project, so the OpenAI Cloud and all the rest in the next years to happen? So how do you imagine your projects in 3-5 years?
You want me to do that, Vlad? Yeah. So for us, I would say there's two factors. Yeah, two main things that I see as a big leap forward. One is the accuracy that Vlad was talking about. So to date, using other technologies and our rudimentary clouds we were creating, there is the drift issues. There's that you're always fighting, and drift issues. And then we haven't really had a whole lot of problems of content hopping around, but getting the content, real world alignment is really the number one problem in practice that we run into. So that's kind of where I see this is a big leap forward, is really enabling much better real world alignment and much better anchoring, I guess would be the way to say it. Although I don't think, Vlad, your system really works with anchoring, but effectively what is now in the current scenario of how we work is, object needs to be anchored somewhere. So getting that level of accuracy, and then repeatability, which gets to repeatability. So that's, as an example, with a project we have out right now for the holidays. We're the repeatability of those things is the biggest challenge we're facing right now. Is it's great on the first time somebody interacts with the content, but if they kind of do it again, it gets a little bit worse each time. So I don't know if that was clear or not. That's what we're seeing right now. So real world alignment, huge step forward. It's the bottom line.
Okay. And I want to ask, so I'm a developer, and maybe in 2-3 years I will have to choose what kind of AR cloud SDK to use for my AR application for the glasses. So why someone should use yours and not, for instance, the Niantic cloud?
Well, I can answer from the creator side, at
Okay.
least right now. Well, one is just access. As a private creator, I currently don't have access to Niantic's cloud, but they, presumably might open it up in the future. So this enables me to do the types of things that Niantic and Facebook and them are doing or headed towards doing. So it kind of evens the playing field a bit, which is really nice. Also, right now, there's, for the types of applications we're doing, which are large world scale installations, which require actually a lot of, in today's systems, vertical anchoring is really limited, or some of the private clouds don't even have the abilities to do what we're doing. So I would see more of that and more site specific types of installations. So.
Okay. Vladimir,
and
do you want to add something?
from developers' perspective, the idea of OARC is to give kind of universal protocol for all different possible proprietary air clouds. So, for example, currently in OARC, there are two providers of air clouds and geopod. It's Augmented.City and Immersal. But we both share the same protocol, ORC protocol, so you can have less pain trying to adapt to each different AR cloud. You just use ORC protocol and automatically get the support for different providers. It's kind of unity for graphics, so it's the same for Air Cloud.
Okay. And if you had to ask since you're doing this open project, of course you need the help of the whole AR and VR community that must know about your project, they must fall in love with it, with the idea of having an open ecosystem. So what people can do to help you?
Well, what we need? We need a lot of developers that are willing to try, thus giving us a feedback about what is good and what is bad. So the more users we have, the better we can make the technology for everybody. So that's.
So do you confirm what I've listened before, but just to be sure? So if I'm a developer or I'm a creator or whatever, want to use the AR cloud, I can do it, your open AR cloud, I can do it today. So I can already develop an experience that uses it and works in every place that is already being scanned by other people. So is it already on the market? Isn't it?
Yes, so SDK is already available and mapping tools are available. So if you are in one of the cities where there is already some mapping done, then you can just take SDK and use it immediately. If there is no mapping yet, you can take a mapping tool and do some mapping by yourself, just to create your own test bed for this. But, well, yes.
So I can also scan. I know it says maybe you have no parts of Turin. I can anyway start creating the map of Turin myself, and then someone else from my same city can go use the same map and upload other parts of the city and so on, so on.
Yeah, let me check if Turin is supported. So I'm sure that Milano, Pisa, Andrea.
How do you choose if some city is supported or not?
Well, it's more or less. Well, it depends on what projects we have there. So, for example, in Milano, we have several projects, including the project with schools, where just school boys and girls do some mapping and then do their own AR project there. Torino. No, Torino, no.
No. Then
Troppo, no.
I don't like your project anymore. Then.
Okay, but there should be, there is a project from Torino coming. So currently I see Avigliano da Sicilia, Bari,
So,
and actually Ali.
so you add cities as soon as you have projects of people that want to scan it and then use it?
Yeah. So if there is a person that wants to use, so we can do the scanning if it is a big project, or we can share the tool so the person who is interested in a project can do the scan by himself.
But so the scanning, is the scanning application available on Google Play, or is it a special app that you have to go to the companies?
Currently it's available from test flight. Because it's still in beta, so you need to download it from test flight.
But it's a public beta or a private beta?
More or less public beta. So we need your Apple ID or Google ID to include you into the beta program. But then you can download any applications there.
Okay, that's amazing. Okay, I think that I almost covered all my curiosities on the project. But maybe I forgot something. So you tell me, is there something else that is super cool about what you do that you think is worth sharing with other AR and VR people, and that we haven't talked about yet in this interview?
Well, maybe we can just for a couple of minutes to share a screen just to show you how it looks like.
Wow, why not?
So let me.
I can share a couple of the projects, same thing that we've done.
Yes. So let's see better. I see one here.
I'm not seeing anything yet. Oh, now it's coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, for example, there was a big empty square, like 500 by 500 meters, and we placed there a lot of AR objects.
Oh, that's a beautiful one.
Wow.
So there is a whole city built on top of this empty square.
Nice.
So this is Sochi, Olympic Park.
Yeah, Olympic Park in Sochi, Russia.
I guess that since it is an aircraft solution, all these things are persistent and are shared with other users. So if you see that, I also see that in the same place.
Yes, exactly. So you can we have a videos where we just keep two phones, and on both phones you can see the same scene moving. Yeah, so maybe Julia has something.
Are you guys seeing my screen?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so this is a project we did a year ago for the Seattle Design Festival. So you can see kind of the site specificity that I'm talking about that we're working in. This, like I said, at the time we didn't have Vlad's system, but we're going to be putting this in there to see the kind of results we can get, and I'm confident it will be very good. So this is actually a project we just won an award for, actually, from the Architects Institute of America. So we're excited about that. And then we also did, I'll show you what we're working on right now with them. Let's see, I think I got it in here. I don't, oh, here we go. So this is, it's going to be, might be sideways, I'm not sure. So this is actually an indoor thing that we've been creating. Oops, sorry, let me turn the volume off there. Don't know if you're hearing that.
No, we don't have.
You're not hearing it? Okay. Yeah, so this is a holiday installation that we're doing in downtown Seattle right now. And so this is a really good, interesting case because we're using one technology right now, and then we're working on putting Augmented.City's technology in, and then redeploying the project hopefully in the next week. So, but we did do some testing with this, and this is kind of where I was talking about is the repeatability, the accuracy, real world alignment, and repeatability was just, you know, way far beyond what we're able to do right now with this version. So it's just a small example. We have some outdoor elements to creating a Christmas tree forest that people can walk through. That's kind of my favorite one. There we got 5 locations downtown. So. Am I still sharing, or did I stopped yet? Okay, great. Yeah. And then I don't. Do you have any footage of Bubico, Vlad?
I need to search for it.
Okay, because that'd be good to, because it's a good example of geopose, and you know how that's what that enables.
Yeah, but I believe we can just provide Anthony with more examples.
Yeah.
Just
good.
Yeah, you can send them via email if you want.
Sure. Yeah.
And so that's cool. So thanks for answering all these questions. And I think that everyone that's interested in your project, so you have a website. I've seen that in Google. I don't remember exactly what it is. Can you please tell me again so that?
Sure. Ours is www.novaby, N as in Nancy, O, V as in Victor, A, B as in boy, Y.com.
Yes, and ours is just Augmented.City.
Okay. And so people can explore what you're doing and can support you for the cool stuff that you're doing. And I really hope that in the future we have like more open AR clouds. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the big silos, private companies that with very shady privacy practices that will come in the future. So I really like what you're doing actually. So I wish you get luck for your project.